the Italian Football Podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Italian Football Podcast special preview of Real Madrid versus Atalanta in the 2024 UEFA Super Cup final. The big game is on Wednesday in Warsaw at 2100 CET. The traditional curtain raiser to the European season between the Champions League winners Real Madrid and the Europa League winners Atalanta. And Nima, this game really demonstrates just what a miracle Atalanta have done in the last 5 to 10 years under the Percassi family and Gian Piero Gasperini, the coach. I mean, we're talking about a provincial team with the financial resources, the budget, the salary bill of a relegation team in the Premier League from last season anyway, and the fact that they are competing in the UEFA Super Cup final against the most successful team in football history, Real Madrid. I mean, I think as Gasperini said himself, it's a very proud day and a proud moment for Atalanta and really a miracle, really, if we're looking at things from a financial point of view.
I'm particularly loving the fact that you refer to 9 p.m. Central European Time as 2100 hours, like you're in the military.
Don't boo me out with this.
I'm not booming it. 2100.
That is regularly used by people, so I'm not having any of that.
2100. I've never heard that. Honestly, I've heard 9 p.m. and it would never 2100 unless we're talking like a military exercise. It's not a boomer. It's just a bit different.
Okay. The things that amuse you, Nima.
Yes, they do. I was like 2100 CET. Yes, at 2100 CET, we will see on Wednesday night. We'll see a tiny provincial side from Bergamo who have normalized doing things that they shouldn't be able to do. I mean, there's punching above your weight, and then there's continuously doing things that are genuinely almost impossible. I firmly still believe that had they beaten PSG, they would in that during that COVID season, they were 2 minutes away. They would have gone to the final of the Champions League. Same, and now here he is again, Gasperini, having renewed for the third time his Atalanta project, and they won the Europa League against the reigning Bundesliga champions, or who had just won the Bundesliga, not losing a single game, and they did it by completely smashing them. And now they're in the European Super Cup final. I did an interview with Fabio Giannari, who Radio La Dea and covers Atalanta for Tuttosport, where he was talking about, this is the dream. We're in a dream right now. The entire city is in a dream. For Real Madrid, the European Super Cup doesn't mean anything, but for Atalanta, it's huge. And go check that interview out. It's free on all platforms. It was a Mercato deep dive, but no, it's truly remarkable. What they've done, it just goes to show that if you have competent people in the right positions, and you have a uniform structure, and you bring in the right coach, the right sporting director, you're competent in your scouting, you can do amazing things even with very scarce resources. And even and it's truly remarkable because Atalanta now are one of the top teams in Europe. I mean, it's crazy, but they consistently play in Europe. They've won European trophies. They were in the quarterfinal of the Champions League not too long ago. They continuously turn a profit. They have a new stadium that they've just finished building. It really is the stuff of dreams. It's the kind of stuff that, you play Football Manager. You take a small team and you make them bigger, but for real, in real life. And it's truly unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. And it's a momentous occasion for them. But I just, it's for Real Madrid, it's just another Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday evening. But
Yeah, I mean, from Atalanta, I mean, I think also for football, it's a victory for football. Like in an era where it's almost impossible to win in club football
yeah,
without money, a club
absolutely.
who are always profitable. They
Mm,
never spend what they don't have. They don't run up debts and take out loans and get bailouts like the big three
yeah,
in Serie A do. They have an incredible scouting and recruitment network. They improve and they develop players. They give their young players that come through the system
exactly.
a chance as well. They don't just use them for plusvalenza again, like the big three teams do. They have the best youth system in Italy. They play progressive, positive football.
And what they
So
also do is, if you look at it, people talk about the Atalanta system and players succeed at Atalanta but not elsewhere. Well, yeah, because they have a coherent red thread that runs through all the way from the Pulcini all the way up to the first team, where they identify, scout, and bring in players that suit their system, their identity, how they want to play football. And that's why they give young players a chance. It's not out of some sort of desperation. It's because they have a clear identity of what they want to do, all the way down, all the way up at all levels of the club, and they apply it. And so they look for young players that can suit that system. And when they do, they have the know-how and ability to nurture them and allow them to grow both on and off the pitch. It's both of those things are almost equally as important, if we're honest.
mhm.
And then they know, if they because of their scouting, they also know that if they find players like Diallo or Kulusevski that don't suit their system, but they just send them on. They sell them for a profit if they don't suit the first team system, and if they do, they play them and then they sell them off for even bigger money, like we saw with Rasmus Højlund to United. It's incredibly well run club. And then they also buy players who suit their system, scouting really well. I mean, El Bilal Torre, I think, is going to be very good if he stays. Ademola Lookman was unbelievable last season. Scamacca was great for the last 3 or 4 months of the season. I mean, now of course he's injured, but they're very good at finding the right players for their system at all ages.
Yeah, they certainly are. Having said that, though, going into what should be a very proud, moment and match for Atalanta, and the most important game in their history, as both Percassi and Gasperini have said, the shine and the excitement and the enthusiasm for this match has been taken away, really, let's be honest, because of this crisis start to the new season, in particular with regards to injuries. Scamacca torn ACL last week, having already seen Scalvini tear his ACL at the end of last season. So these players are basically going to miss this season. Or Scamacca will. Scalvini might be back towards the end of the season. Tune Koopmeiners is refusing to play, and he's on the transfer list and likely to complete his move to Juventus now. And then new signing Zaniolo, already injured, and having to have a specialist have a look at his foot, following on from the injury that caused him to miss the Euros. So it looks like he'll miss the game, but that's already a little bit of a concern if they're already getting specialists involved looking at him. And Gasperini has come out and said publicly that the team is not as competitive as last season, and it's yeah, it's we thought that Atalanta could push on from last season and certainly go into this game with lots of enthusiasm and hoping to win, and now it's just kind of that's all been taken away, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. To a certain extent, yes. I think the Cup minor situation, I don't think Atalanta have handled well. They're usually very good at these situations, but they've not handled that well at all. But they will learn from it, I think. If anything, it's a club that always learns from its mistakes. The few of the ones it makes, it's got a very, um, they have a very, they have an aura about them. They have a system about them of handling crises. That, okay, what happened here? They do their analysis and then they're like, okay, well, this happened this time. Well, what can we learn from it? They should have, they should have tried to get rid of Coop Miners earlier, and similarly to what they've done before when Italian clubs, big clubs have come calling, they've managed to leverage the interest from other clubs in the Premier League to their favor. This time around, they haven't been able to do that at all, for whatever reason. And so they need to learn what happened here, but they need to solve this because they can't have this situation, and they need to bring in the replacement if they want to bring one. But I gotta say, I mean, I Retegui coming in to replace Scamacca, I think that's a smart signing. I thought, to me, that's Atalanta landing on their feet. They're bringing in a player who is yet to fully explode in the Serie A, and putting him in a system where I think he will score lots of goals. And I think with the players around him, if it's the Kettler, Lookman, I really think they can. I think he's going to score quite a few for them. Maybe not already against Real Madrid, because I mean Real Madrid are the reigning European champions, best team in the world, probably, and at club level at least. And so, but I think they've kind of landed on their feet. Yes, I kind of agree with Gasperini that maybe they're not as competitive as last season, but I don't think they're that far off, if I'm perfectly honest.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see with Retegui. I mean, I honestly, from what I've seen, from what we've watched of Retegui in the last year, he comes across as a very limited player, technically, outside the area, linking up with his teammates, which is kind of, I think, important, very important for Atalanta. He's obviously very good in the box, and he's a very good finisher. I'm a little bit surprised. He doesn't strike me as an Atalanta player, but we'll see. What Gasperini can do with him, and how he uses him. Gasperini clearly isn't impressed by the transfer market that Atalanta have had. I mean, he's basically admitted that. Bed Godfrey, Ibrahim Suleimana, Retegui, they don't strike me as players to take Atalanta forward. I have to be honest with you. But then we'll see who else. I think they're going to bring in Probable, the right-sided right fullback, and then we'll see who they replace Koopmeiners with. Maybe O'Reilly from Celtic, who I know is very, very highly rated. So we'll see with those two whether they can be the kind of players. But the players they've signed so far, they haven't impressed me personally so much. But we know what Atalanta can do with players. They can raise the level of players. But I can understand why Gasperini is disappointed, because I think that, I mean, he even said himself at the end of last season, that he'd been basically been promised that they would spend and they would make the team better and they would be in a position to challenge for the Scudetto. Obviously, injuries have probably ended that opportunity with Scamacca's injury for sure, but I still think from the transfer market, I haven't been impressed. I don't think they haven't made signings of a team that are going to try and challenge for the biggest trophies and move on to the next level so far. And I think that's what reflects his frustration. They certainly haven't signed a player like Kylian Mbappe, who is about to make his debut. Well, certainly going to make his debut for Real Madrid in this game. We'll see whether it's from the start or whether it's from the bench. And this is the biggest story of the game for Madrid and for neutrals. He of course, moved from PSG on a free transfer. I mean, Nima, what a signing this is for Madrid. I mean, Madrid, if they weren't already strong enough with Vinicius Jr., with Bellingham, all the other superstars they have, they now sign Mbappe, they sign Endrick, and then not to mention they also have Arda Güler, who's another future wonder. Well, he is a wonder kid, a potential future superstar. Rodrigo. I mean, they're building a super team, aren't they, Madrid?
They are building Galacticos. There's no doubt about that. If you look at what they've already got, what's coming in, what has come in, and what could come in the future, it's obvious they're building a complete super team. There's no doubt about that, and they're building a Galactico team to dominate like they did with when they had the other Galacticos eras. When they had with the Cristiano Ronaldo era, which was that in and of itself, 4 Champions Leagues in 5 years was we never thought that would be possible again. But Real Madrid at this level, they with their president Florentino, he the ability to build mega stars and to get everyone to work together and understand that at Real Madrid is the biggest. You're part of something bigger, and we've seen them do that with the absolute biggest players in the world. I think one of the problems Kylian Mbappe had at PSG was that I don't think anyone dared to put him in his place, and he got to dominate too much. That's not going to happen at Real Madrid. He's going to be treated like a star, don't get me wrong, but at Real Madrid is the most important thing. And Carlo Ancelotti is fantastic at building groups and players and creating squads. Everyone who's worked with him loves him. Zlatan says he probably one of the best coaches he's ever had as a character. So no, it's they are definitely the team to beat. No doubt about that. And it's going to be interesting to see how it goes from here now.
I think what's going to be interesting is tactically for Real Madrid how they fit Mbappe, Vinicius Junior, Bellingham in the same team and make it work. Because I don't think it's going to be easy. I think if they go 4-3-3, then the problem is who plays on the left, who plays in the middle, and who plays on the right. Because both Mbappe and Vinicius Junior both favourite positions is on the left. That's where they're both at their best. Neither of them like playing in the middle, especially Mbappe. He's been very public and clear about that. He doesn't want to play centre forward, not in a 3 for sure. So something has to give there. Does Mbappe go on the right? He doesn't really like playing there either. So something has to give there. Plus the lack of work rate from both players. Vinicius Junior doesn't do any tracking back. Mbappe walks like Messi and Ronaldo do when it comes to defending from the front. In modern football, you can't really carry one, let alone two players who don't do any running. So do you go with a 3? If you go, I think they'll go with a front 2. I think Ancelotti will go for a front 2. I think he'll go 4-3-1-2 or 4-4-2. So it's a 4-3-1-2. It'll be Bellingham behind Vinicius and Mbappe. But then I don't really see Bellingham as a number 10, and nor did Ancelotti last season, which is why he ended up using him mostly as a false 9. I don't think Bellingham is a 10, personally. Or does he go 4-4-2, which has also been suggested as a potential formation, in which case you have no natural width at all if you go front 2 of Mbappe and Vinicius Junior. So there's lots of question marks, and I think it's going to be a big job for Ancelotti to try and make that work. He has shown, I think, in my opinion, to be the best in the world, maybe the best ever at getting superstars to work, not just, in the dressing room, but on the pitch. He kind of knows he has enough freedom. He's not an ideologue. He knows how to kind of just get them to work together. He's been the best ever for me, Ancelotti, at that. So I think they've got the right manager, but I do think it's going to be difficult for them to get them to work, in my opinion. Don't know what you think of that.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be. It's going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy, but I don't think it's that. I think he'll solve it. We have to remember that winning is the best way to get for these guys. Like if he can continue to win, and continue to dominate like they have done, then I think most of those problems will be taken care of. I think even if it's not ideally perfect on the pitch, I think Mbappe, I think it'll be much more fluid than that. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Mbappe and Vini swapping positions, or three of them, Bellingham, Vini, and Mbappe, being given the creative freedom to swap positions in a weird front 3, if you know what I mean.
I think there will be lots of freedom for them to roam and rotate and everything, whether it's a 2 or a 3 or whatever. It's just making it work, I think, in a system. Also from a defensive point of view, from out of possession. How does it work? That's going to be very interesting to see, given Mbappe and Vini do no defensive work. But that brings us on to the probable 11s and the team news for this game. Start with Real Madrid. Their only absentee is David Alaba, who's got that long-term ACL, another player with an ACL. Bellingham is still not 100% due to that shoulder injury that he had it carried into the Euros, and he's been wearing a shoulder strap for quite a while after dislocating it, and I think he's been training without it, and he wants to try it without. So I think the question mark is, will he start or will Goulet play instead of him? We're looking at Courtois. Then in defence, we're looking at Carvajal, Militao, Rudiger, Mendy. That should be pretty guaranteed. Then we're looking at Tchouaméni or Camavinga alongside Modric and Valverde. And then Bellingham or Goulet. And then up front, we're looking at Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe or Rodrigo. There are questions whether Mbappe should start, whether he's fit enough to start. But in my opinion, I think he'll start because I think it's a landmark game, UEFA game, and I think the pressure will be for him to start. The sponsors will want him to start. Mbappe will demand to start. I think Mbappe will start. So that's Madrid. As for Atalanta, as we said before, so many players injured and out. Scamacca, Scalvini, Zaniolo. I don't know whether he will be fit. Koopmeiners is refusing to play. So it will be a 3-4-2-1 for Atalanta. We're looking at Carnesecchi in goal. Then the defence, I think Gian and Kolasinac will definitely start. And then it will probably be Godfrey or Jim City. And then Zappacosta, Derone, Ederson, Ruggeri, I think will be the four in the centre of midfield. And then I think Lookman and De Ketelaere will definitely start. The question will be, will it be one of them up front in a false position, or will they play behind Retegui? And if it's not Retegui, then probably Pasalic would come in behind with either Lookman or De Ketelaere as the false nine. So that's Atalanta's team. Predictions, though, Nima. What are you thinking?
Look, I think this is a little bit too difficult for Atalanta. I think this is, given where they've been with in terms of like the summer they've had, where they are in their preseason. I think this is a little bit of a tough ask. I think Real Madrid will, I know it's not the most important trophy, but it is a trophy, and it's a trophy that these guys are hoarders. They are trophy hoarders. They want to win as much as possible. And I think that's what we're looking at here. So I just can't see past Mbappe and his, competitive debut, how that doesn't go down in Real Madrid's favor. I think the sheer firepower that Real Madrid have is just too much for anyone to withstand, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that if you look at it in terms of players on the pitch, on paper, and with all the injuries and the mood in the camp for Atalanta and their terrible pre-season performances and results, thrashed 3-0 by St. Pauli, 4-1 by Parma in their last two games, and before that they drew 2-2 with AZ. I mean, they conceded lots of goals, and yeah, it's not been very good preparation. It's been terrible preparation. My only hope for Atalanta is that maybe they're more ready physically, because Madrid, a lot of players at the Euros coming back a bit later. Some of their players in the Copa America, players coming back later from those. Mbappe's only just started training with the team, and Bellingham's been nursing this injury. Maybe physically, Atalanta are a little bit sharper, maybe, and maybe Real Madrid, if they start Mbappe and Vinicius, maybe they're not quite in tune with how they're going to play. It doesn't quite work, and they don't defensively do their jobs when Atalanta have the ball. So that's the hope, I think, for Atalanta, because in terms of quality, there should only be really one winner, and experience. There should only really be one winner in this game. But Atalanta have shocked us many times before, so let's not completely rule them out. But I think, I think we have to go, both of us, with Madrid to win this game. Okay,
Agreed.
There we go. That's our little special preview of the Atalanta versus Real Madrid game as the Italian Football Podcast. Obviously, good luck to Atalanta. It would be another fantastic fairy tale if they can pull off another win. So let's hope that they can do it. But until next time, ciao, ciao.